Hello everyone, and in today's video we're going to be going over my 15-day cash cow channel growth plan if I were to start a brand new channel and roughly span around roughly 2 weeks or 15 days I should say. But before we begin, I do want to invite you after this video to watch my free masterclass where I go over how to make passive income through YouTube in 90 videos or less by making your videos go viral. So let's get started with the video. So for day one, what you're going to do is that you're going to decide on your niche. You're going to create the YouTube channel. You're going to order branding from Fiverr. So down below in the description, I'm going to send a link to my channel artist who does the channel branding for all of my channels, whether it's Faceless Cash Cow channels or YouTube automation channels. You're also going to come up with your name, and you're also going to write a short about me in your YouTube bio. And then you're also going to start posting job listings so that you can start hiring people. Now for day one, it's a lot of setup. We're not actually going to start the YouTube automation or cash cow channel process yet. Deciding on a niche, you can't go wrong with going to niches that you know better than the average person. I have a video dedicated here on how to choose a niche when it comes to YouTube automation. As far as creating a YouTube channel, that's very simple. Branding from Fiverr. Unless you're a graphic designer yourself, again, I'll have down below in the description for a channel artist where he does the logo and the channel art for just $5. Very affordable. It's $5 or $10, but either way, it's very affordable. As far as your name goes, there's two ways you can go about naming your channel. You can either give yourself a brand name in which the name of your channel has nothing to do with what the channel is actually about. So let's say that my channel is about sports. I can either name it a brand channel such as, I don't know, like Larry Goal. Okay, it's like the name of a person, but it's the brand name of that channel. Or I can name it something that's actually related to the niche, such as Sport Frenzy. So two ways to go about it. Nowadays, I do lean towards giving my channels like a brand name, and the brand doesn't include the niche itself. So notice how I said Larry Goal. It's like the name of a person, and I think that's something that YouTube does like seeing, in which the brand behind the channel is a person now, rather than like a company behind the channel. But again, that's just speculation in my opinion. It's obviously not for certain. Just write a short description about what your channel is going to be about in the YouTube bio section. Don't neglect that, because sometimes I do come across channels in which they don't write an about me, so I really don't know what their channel is about. And as far as finding a team via Upwork, I also have a team dedicated to hiring on Upwork. You can go check that out. I'll leave that down below in the description. Now for day two, after you've posted all your Upwork job listings, you're going to reach out potential scriptwriters who apply to your job listings on Upwork. You're going to schedule interviews. So these interviews are like 5 to 10 minute calls, which can take place on Upwork. And your reason is that you want to make sure these people are legitimate. You want to make sure that you're working with the right people. So everyone on my team who I've hired, I have gotten onto phone calls with at least once. And that's just to get to know them as a person, you know, even though they're contractors who are applying for a job, I still want to get to know them as a person. You're going to research 5 potential video topics on this day as well. And then you're going to send those 5 potential video topics to these potential scriptwriters. So ideally, you want to aim for 5 scriptwriters that you want to hire. You want to give them each one scriptwriter or video topic so that they can test it out. And then let's move on to day number 3. So for day 3, you're going to go check and see how your branding order from Fiverr is coming along. And then if it's ready, go ahead and upload it to your YouTube channel. You're also going to want to install TubeBuddy. Okay, and you're going to want to set up a TubeBuddy scorecard. Now the reason for this, and I should say that this is optional because this is a paid version, I'm recommending that you install. So this is what the TubeBuddy scorecard looks like. And essentially you add similar channels to yours in it, or basically channels you want to keep track of. And it generates a scorecard, which you can see here. So as you can see, it compares all these channels, and I essentially use this to research video topics and see what my quote-unquote competitors are posting. So based on what they post, I'm looking at the views and I'm looking at the titles of their videos, and I'm seeing if there's any videos that I can possibly recreate myself but give it my own twist on it. So again, TubeBuddy scorecard is something that I highly recommend. You can sign up for TubeBuddy down below in the description and get 20% off if you use my affiliate link as a disclaimer. But moving on from that, after you've added competitor channels to TubeBuddy, you're going to brainstorm thumbnail ideas for 5 potential video topics. So those 5 topics that you sent to your scriptwriters, you're going to start coming up with the thumbnail ideas for them, and then you're going to send those ideas to potential thumbnail artists. So again, we're working out of 5 videos here, so ideally you want to work with 2 to 5 thumbnail artists and send them each a thumbnail concept and see how it works. Now moving on to days 4 and 5, you're going to check and see if the work is completed by scriptwriters. So by now it should have been roughly 2 to 3 days. You're going to check if work is completed by the thumbnail artist, and you're going to critique it. And you're also going to send the work from your scriptwriters to the voiceover artists if you approve it. And if not, you're going to send it back for a revision if needed. So at this time, you should start receiving your work in from your scriptwriters and thumbnail artists and revising that work based on your standards of whether or not you think it's a good script or a good thumbnail. Now, moving on to days 6 and 7. So by this point, you should have sent a script to at least one voiceover. So you're going to check to see if that work from the voiceover artist is completed, and you're going to send it to the video editor if you think it's good. And same thing with the thumbnail artist, you're going to check that work and check any revisions that you might have sent back to your scriptwriters. And again, right now you're going through a continuous cycle of seeing what work is good. And if the work is good, you're going to proceed it to the next step. So from script writing to voiceover to video editor, and the thumbnail design process usually takes place anytime throughout the video creation process. And at any time you need revisions done from any of your contractors or potential freelancers that you're about to hire, just send back for revisions if needed. Now through days 8 and 9, by this time you should have had your first few videos done by your video editors, and you should also have your thumbnail designers send you completed work as well. So at this point, you should be able to upload your videos onto YouTube. So roughly, I would say that took a little more than a week, but I wouldn't be surprised if you got it done within a week. So you're gonna schedule video number 1 for day 10, which is tomorrow. So notice how today I'm talking about days 8 to 9. So you're gonna schedule video number 1 for tomorrow and video number 2 for day 12. So this involves like my frequency of posting, in which is like every other day, so every 2 days. So throughout the month, you're gonna be posting about 15 videos, and you wanna make sure that you title your videos creatively with proper SEO. So I have a lot of videos going over how I title my videos as well. Proper SEO, you just want to make sure that you have keyword in your title and keywords in your description. Now for day 10, this is the day when your first video should have been published. So you're going to analyze your first video and you're going to look at its impression rate and click-through rate. So the reason why I don't mention average view duration just yet is because your channel is going to be brand new, and what you want to make sure is that you're utilizing the right keywords and your topic research is actually on point. And that's justified by having impressions. So with impressions, if your videos are getting impressions, that means you're choosing good keywords and you're choosing good topics essentially. So with impressions comes click-through rate. You want to make sure that your click-through rate ideally is greater than 10%. That's what you want to aim for. This is based on my experience of previously viral videos in which there was a common trend in which they had very good click-through rates of like 10% or higher. So that's what I recommend you all to reach for, 10% or higher click-through rates. Now you might be wondering, what is a good impression rate? I can't give you a solid number as to what a good impression rate is. The impression rate number is just a number for you to consider. If your click-through rate is 10%, but your impression rate is 100, then it's not a lot of impressions, okay? So your click-through rate isn't actually that true per se. But if your impression rate is like 10,000 and your click-through rate is 10%, that's pretty good. That's 1,000 views out of 10,000 impressions. That gives you a good idea of a better click-through rate. So a common question I always get asked is, what is a good impression rate? And I really can't justify the number. It's just a number that you have to look at in comparison as to what your click-through rate is. So keep in mind CTR's click-through rate, if you don't know that by now yet. Whatever your impression rate is, you're going to compare that to your CTR. And it's just a number that you consider, knowing that, okay, I got a lot of impressions and a really good click-through rate, but compared to I got a low amount of impressions and a really good click-through rate. So there's two different scenarios. Again, it's just things to consider. Obviously, the higher CTR, the better. So moving on to day 11. So for day 11, this is when we're going to start analyzing the average viewer duration of video number 1. So usually for YouTube, it takes roughly 24 hours before the average viewer duration information starts to populate within the YouTube studio. So on day 11, you're going to analyze video number 1, but also in addition to this, you're going to make sure you continue the workflow process with potential contractors, which means inputting more video topic ideas, checking on the scriptwriter's work, the video editor's work, the voiceover artist's work, the graphic designer's work. That's a continuous process now, which is kind of never going to end unless you outsource it, but you got to make sure that work keeps flowing in. Now, moving on to day 12, you are going to research 5 more potential video topics, and if there's any double down needed. So what I mean by this is, based on your first 1 and 2 videos performance, did any of those videos work exceptionally well? If so, you're going to want to make more topics similar to that video. Also, use TubeBuddy scorecard, check to see what your competitors are posting and what videos are working for them. And essentially we're almost practically repeating the process at this point, everyone. Okay, so you're gonna send potential topics to potential scriptwriters, continue checking on work if it's completed, brainstorm thumbnail ideas for new potential video topics that you thought of. You're gonna send those thumbnail ideas to potential thumbnail artists. You're gonna continue to analyze video number 2 now, because video number 2 should have been posted. So with that, again, you're looking at the impressions as compared to the CTR and trying to get a click-through rate of over 10%. So moving on to day 13, you're continuously going to be checking on work to see if it's completed and analyze the average duration of video number 2. For day 14, again, continuously checking on work if it's completed. And now you're analyzing video number 3, which has been posted. You're going to be looking at the compression rate and the CTR. And if you don't know by now, over 10% click-through rate, everyone. All right. So lastly, for the 15-day cash cow channel growth plan, at this point, the process essentially recycles between analyzing data, researching new topics based on trending, competitors, and previous videos, and checking to see the status on videos currently under production. So at this point, it basically recycles and it turns into a repetitive process. I do recommend at some point you are going to need a project manager to help you out, to help you not analyze the data. I would say out of these 3 things or 4 things that I mentioned here, the one that I'm most involved in is analyzing data and researching new topics. Those are the 2 tasks that I essentially involve. My project manager, they are the ones in charge of checking to see the status on videos currently under production and facilitating project creation. So if you want a more in-depth video on how to actually start a YouTube automation channel step by step, you're going to want to start with how to choose a niche, which is what we did on day number 1, right? So make sure to watch this video next on how to choose a niche. It goes over my niche selection process and should hopefully be helpful to you.